Greetings. Welcome to Office Hours with Dr.G. I'm your host, Dr.G, and I'm so glad that you could keep our appointment. Well, tonight, I welcome my spiritual daughter, Nailah Burton, back to present Harnessing the Power of Your Shadow Self. And when the conversation about shadow work becomes taboo, but is still pertinent in the self-love journey, Nailah speaks on how to identify your own power of enlightenment achieved by going through the process so many have dubbed the dark night of the soul. Nailah best describes herself as a spiritualist, not subscribing to the religious narratives taught to her since childhood. Born a pallbearer with psychic and mediumship abilities, she uses her gifts to help others, incorporating her professional certifications as a life coach, mental health and NLP practitioner, hypnosis therapist, and metaphysicist. Her goal is to aid others in their journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. She's the author and publisher of Awaiting the Lotus Bloom, a journey from self-acceptance to self-love, and founder of the Blooming Lotus Self-Acceptance Program. Now, a fun fact, Nailah is also a singer-songwriter, and she is the one who wrote and performs the well-known Reawakening Minds theme song that's heard on this channel. Now, without further ado, I'm going to present some and introduce to others my spiritual daughter. That's me, Nailah Burton. Welcome. Oh, where is she? We got her. Let me find her, y'all. She was just on here. So I'm just going to rock till she gets back. I don't know what happened. I saw her on the screen, and then she wasn't on the screen, y'all. Yeah, that's me. Let me see what happened. Really? Stuff happens, y'all. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's me. So, Nailah, I don't see you. What, are you there? Y'all, let me figure out what happened, because we were just talking and speaking. So I need to figure out where she is and get her back on the screen, y'all. But in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. And we're going to make sure everything is okay. Her eldest daughter is not feeling good, and I know we may get interrupted, but I'm going to make sure I know what happened, because it looks like she's still on, but she's not on. So I don't know what happened. Okay. Y'all, we gonna just wait a minute. But how's everybody doing? We could just get some greetings in. Yeah, hi there. Hi, Sister Karen Williams. You know what? I never do shout outs. So, hey, I'm going to do some shout outs while I figure out what happened to her, because she was just on the screen and we were just talking. But how, let me see. Soar High, Terenzo Jones, Lisa Stanford, Bar Heavy J, Michael Fort. I'm going to holler out, shout out. Let me see. Karen, Sister Karen Williams, Sister Faria L, Sister Rose Reed. Looking forward to the show. I'm hoping that she gets back on here so that we can talk about harnessing the power of your shadow self. Now, I was hoping I didn't have to do this show by myself like all week, and I'm not sure what happened, because we were both on the screen just now talking. And earlier we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do it, only because the storm, she's in the Georgia area, and they were having storms down there, and the electric was going off and flickering and so forth. So I'm not sure what happened, y'all, but she was there, and now she's not there, and I'm not sure if everything is well. Not getting a phone call. Let me see. My phone is on mute, so I'm not sure. Uh, well, y'all, I'm just gonna talk to y'all for a little bit. Don't leave me. Well, hopefully she'll get back on here. I wanted her to sing that song that all of you all like from the House of from Reawakening Minds, and because she's the one who wrote it. She wrote it back in 2015 for me, and and she did it raw. You're hearing it right, sung on the phone, and wasn't done in the studio or anything like that. She just said, "Mom, I wrote this song." She sang it. She sent me the recording of her singing it over the phone like that, and we just went with it and have left it there. And that's what you all know. Those words, the deeper and deeper I go, I find what it is I should know. Well, yeah. So y'all send some positive energy. I'm not sure what actually is going on. Like I said, her oldest daughter was experiencing some vertigo, some issues, and had apparently had fainted today earlier. And so we're trying to figure out what's wrong, but I don't know why we lost her. So I'm just going to talk about something and take some questions or whatever. But first of all, I want to thank you all for the responses and the things that those who are putting out inquiries with regard to the 4040 Legacy Group. We are working on that link. Some of you, I think, have just paid it through our donation link, but we're working on a specific link. I sent it to Sister LaChris. I'm not sure if it's up now. It may be on the website. Where you can sign up for our 4040 Legacy Group. Our 4040 Legacy Group is such so that you can actually partner with us and get some great discounts, including being able to get the house that we are, Grand Sheik is in the process of completing as we speak, at a very, very, very big discount, and other things, and appreciation for your support for what we're doing at the House of Reawakening Minds. Now, like I said, if she doesn't get on here, y'all, I'm just going to talk about something. I'm going to talk about something that's been on my mind for some time. It's very hot in here. I'm sweating. And if you see water on my nose, it's because even though the fan's under here, it's hot. But I wanted to talk about something. She's going to be talking about the shadow group and shadow work, and if you've known anything about like we said, the dark night of the soul, a lot of times people have to go through a period of like almost like a crisis of faith in your life. And some of you may have even experienced that, where you almost have to hit rock bottom before you realize or see yourself for who you are, and are able to come out of maybe a lot of the programming, and maybe even a lot of the hurts and disappointments, and maybe your family life, whatever might have scarred you. A lot of times you have to go through this crisis in order to come out on the other side. They call it the dark night of the soul. I never thought it was something that I really wanted to go through, but Maisha contends that it can be very good for you. So I'm not sure. But the thing I wanted to talk about while I wait to see where my guest is for tonight is that a lot of us who have come out of any kind of religious background, we have been indoctrinated. Greetings. We have been indoctrinated with a lot of religious ideology, and we'll call it dogma, that basically, I'm going to call them scare or fear tactics that have come with religion. And so many people are so afraid to live their lives to the fullest, because if you've gone through the church, or you've gone through, I'm assuming that the temples, and I'm not talking necessarily about Moorish temples, but say Islam or whatever, we have been indoctrinated with the fear, the wrath of God. But they've never wanted people to realize that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And in that, so in as much as we are spiritual beings, we have eternal life. We don't gain eternal life. We come here with eternal life. And so many people coming out of the churches and coming out of temples have this fear that God is going to get them, and they've committed the immortal sin, and every time. There you go.
I apologize. My phone is very glitchy right now. I did drop it.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
right. Even right now, you're coming through back. Yeah, I'm getting ready. I was getting ready to talk about something else, but
well, we can,
there.
you know what?
No, 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 no. Because I was going to do that, y'all. She's here. She's here, and you are kind of going in and out and in and out. You know, you're.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of technical issues today. So I was going to text you and say, I don't know what's going on. Maybe we should reschedule.
Well, folks are on here. I mean, we could talk. I was getting ready to talk about the fear. I know we're supposed to be talking. You're going to be talking about harnessing, the power of the what are we talking about,
Shadow,
girl?
shadow self.
The shadow self. But I was starting to say something about how religion. Both of us come out of the church. I've known you ever since you were a teenager, and most of us know that we've come out of like a fear-based belief systems that have, tried to punish us for being ourselves. And before we get into, since I started on it, before we get into, talking about the shadow self, the freedom that comes with being true to yourself is something that I think a lot of people are missing out on, particularly if you've been indoctrinated with religion. And, we come through Pentecostalism and a lot of, fire and brimstone and things that have been, preached across the pulpit. Yet we actually know about all of the contradictions that we've seen. We've been in, we've been, there she goes again. But y'all, I'm gonna keep on talking. So we've seen so many contradictions, yet we've been preached to and admonished that if you don't do XYZ, we're going to hell. You were born with what they call a veil. It's called a call bearer, right? A call. You were a call bearer, CAUL, which we know most of the people know as a veil. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that has meant for you from childhood and how that conflicts with what you kind of hear in the church?
Well, growing up like that, I was always, let me just start out by saying my mother asked, what was it? Instead of saying, let me see her. Okay. Um, there are a lot of myths associated with call bearers, people that are born with the veil. Um, Growing up with my family being divided, some being more on the spiritual side where, they didn't subscribe to the quote unquote Christian religion, or they hid under the Christian religion where they practice other traditions such as Voodoo or Hoodoo or even Ifa. Um, and then there was the side that were like devout Christians, and all they wanted to do was be in church from 6 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. And my grandfather on my mother's side was a deacon. So, of course, I was stuck in church 90% of the time, singing on praise and worship, doing kids' church, everything. Um, so growing up with that and with those abilities, it was somewhat scary, because you walk the line between the spiritual and the natural. And no one was around that experience that could tell me about it. The only person in my family that I was told that was born like that, she couldn't handle it and she became an alcoholic and died when I was very young. And that was my grandmother's sister. Um, and it was very scary growing up. I mean, there were, without having an understanding of what lower vibrational entities look like, I would be in my bed and I would see them crawling up towards my legs and drag me out the bed physically. I remember being at funerals and people that are supposed to be in the casket getting out the casket and coming and sitting next to me and having full conversations. And my mother would be like, be quiet before people think you're crazy. Um, so just experiencing that as a kid and not knowing that I needed to really cultivate that gift. My grandmother was very essential because I would tell her stuff and she'd be like, all right, now this is what I need you to do. She was more engrossed because it's more prominent on my father's side than my mother's, as far as the gift and the characteristic. Um, so growing up being taught that, being made to feel different anyway, because I would say stuff and 20 minutes later it would happen, or like a month later, if I would say someone was dying, somebody else would die. It would always be something that correlated with a vision or a dream or a feeling or something that I heard someone say, because I have always been able to see the dead. I've always been able to communicate with them. I've always had the gift of foresight, prophecy, whatever you wanted to call it. Um, and I've always been taught to suppress it. So coming from that background and also trying to find a way to navigate it throughout my childhood and my adulthood, finally coming to a place of acceptance to understand that everyone is scared of things that they don't know about. And the most important thing, which is also something that I learned in my shadow journey and my journey and in my self-discovery journey, was I needed to really, really learn who I was. Because at the end of the
Yikes, y'all. She is. Let me. Hopefully, she'll get back on. And what? Let me say. Hopefully, she'll be back on. She's having some technical difficulties on her end, and they were having storms in the Atlanta area. So we kind of thought, do we reschedule this or what? And it looks like we are having the interference. But for those of you who are just joining, Maisha was born with what they call a veil over her face, and as a result, what she was saying is that she's been what we would call psychic or medium for those who had crossed over most of all her life. She as the movie said, I see dead people. She's that girl. And a lot of times, even when people have a message, even strangers, she's been in their midst, and one of their loved ones will come through and speak to them through telling her that they want them to know. And so she's, when you have that kind of experience, as she was saying before she was kicked off again, you end up in a depending on your family. In her case, one side of the family, her father's side, that was more prevalent. They knew about things like that. And the other side, mother's side, it was more like, you crazy, don't talk about that. But a lot of children today, and of course she's been around for a little, she's not one of those little babies coming in now that know everything, but we know a lot of children today who have had or share things, and you're like, how do they know that? And it's because we come back. And that's what I was getting ready to say before she came back on. I've been studying, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, about near-death experiences. My sister actually had a near-death experience in the late 70s. And apparently I was one of only, I don't know how many people she shared it with, but apparently she didn't share it with many, because I don't even think her own mother, her mother knew. Okay, Lisa says, your mother was born with a veil on her face, right? But my sister, we have the same father, different mothers. That's why I'm saying that. She actually explained or shared with me the experience of dying, what we call dying or transitioning. And it let me know that the church has kept the fact that we come back, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We come down here to experience life in different facets. I mean, anything from different genders, different so-called ethnicities, to even different species. Every time we incarnate, it's not necessarily as we would call it, someone who's human, but we have been here many, many times, whatever we decide we want to be. And it's all a part of what we would call the Most High God, the all that is all, who is experiencing itself in the multiplicity of ways that it can. And the church doesn't teach that. I was thought I was called to preach the gospel, and I think I did it quite well for probably from about 1991 till 2000, and beginning of 2011, probably the very, very beginning. I'm talking about like January of 2011, and it was in December of 2010 when I had this wake up that told me I had to stop lying and tell the truth. And if the truth be told, there is so much for you to experience and to explore, but it's very hard to do it when you live your life riddled with guilt, when you have been in church and religion that has kept you in a box. As we say, we talk about the matrix, and it was a long time, even though I'd read the Bible so many times, I'd never even noticed the fact that the matrix was the womb. And when the sister wrote the book about, the story about the Matrix that became the movie that was, her stuff was taken. When you think in terms of what we've been stuck in, a lot of times, those things keep us back until we make a decision. In other words, like I want to say, like Neo, to be truly born again. Being born again is not confessing one's sins and what I know now, but being born again in one's thinking, in one's consciousness, in seeing things from a spiritual, or I wouldn't even say from an exalted perspective, because a lot of times we are kept at a lower level. And now I know that lower level is basically our lower self. So, they want to keep us in our lower self. And the things that we are dealing with largely is fear. Let me just read what you're saying. So we deal with a lot of fear. But when you stretch out on your own faith, and really, when you decide that you're going to study outside of the book that they've given you, and not even, let me go back. It isn't even so much of studying outside the book, because I realized that I found a lot of truth in the book. When my eyes opened up, I saw it from a totally different perspective. So when I was, for instance, preaching or seeing the text that dealt with Abraham and his brother, was it Abraham or was it Moses? It was the Aaronic priesthood, the Aaronic priesthood. We're dealing with the Aaronic, when Aaron was given the instructions for creating the robes, the garments, where they had to build the Holy of Holies and all that. And we taught that God would be angry with the people, so they would be in there working and atoning for the folks' sins, and then God would get angry, and then he'd kill thousands just like that. When I opened up my eyes, the perspective I got and the download I got about was that these men that we call priests were actually what we would call today like nuclear power plant workers, and that the Holy of Holies was on the backside, because that's where they could do this nuclear work and hopefully not injure anybody. But they had nuclear accidents. They messed up, and not only did they die, but sometimes other people died. The Bible is preached and taught like this was some spiritual experience. The Most High began to download and show me, no, this was the work they were doing. Probably that thing they called the Ark of the Covenant, that was a nuclear weapon. And they had to do certain things. I don't know why they had a nuclear weapon. Maybe, maybe that was the protection that God decided to give them for following them. Because you remember, there were multiple gods. At least the Bible doesn't say it, but when you learn the stories of, say, Enki and Lil and their father Anu, you find out that those were two brothers that were at odds with each other about a creation that called man. And that one God was upset because they were made, and the other God who they called a serpent, gave them the truth that if you would eat of this tree, or if you would take this knowledge that I'm offering you, you'd be just like us. The Bible is taught in such a, what do I want to say? Well, basically, it's given to us in an occult way. It's hidden. They hide. Occult just means hidden, and they hide everything, and they put a narrative on top of. Now, 100 years from now, your life could be a spiritual, written in a spiritual narrative, when you were just doing everything natural. They were doing natural things. They were getting information, and when I say natural, it wasn't spiritual in the sense of what we know spirit to be. But when they would live out their lives and have these, what we would call maybe supernatural, when some beings would come from outer space, it's obvious now when you look at it from different eyes that these folks were coming down in spacecraft. It wasn't that they were, flying with wings, but maybe they were in craft. And I'm talking and looking at the comments too, y'all. Okay. So Kabuku says that he or she thinks that the ark was a battery, and it could have been a battery. But when I read the story about Moses and reinterpret the story about Moses up on the, let and I get them mixed up. I've been out of church so long I can't even remember whether it was Moses or Abraham. Whoever went up on the mount, went up on the mountain, and hung out with God for those 40 days and came down in the calf. I think it was Moses. The people had melted their gold and created a golden calf. That's another story. That's kind of a access point, because the golden calf would symbolize the change in the times from whatever time they were in. They were moving into the sign of Taurus, and so that hence you hear the golden calf. But when he was up there, they said his hair turned white. When he came down, his face shone crazy. Well, he was probably exposed to some type of radiation. And, I got a download that when he met with God up there, God was basically a being from another planet. And he was saying to him, listen, I need you and your however 40,000 people, whatever people that you carrying with you, why don't you let me be your God? And Moses, and I'm just going to give it in street terms, was saying, why should I and my people follow you when they're following me quite perfectly? And he's like, well, I'm God, and I've got something that y'all don't have. And Moses says, show me what you're working with. The Bible says, he said, show me your glory. Now, we think that the glory of God in the church is when folks start to, some spirit falls on you and people start to falling and frothing at the mouth and rolling around on the ground and on the floor and so forth and getting the Holy Ghost. And that's another thing. That's what we've been told that the glory of God is. But when you study out the word glory, it is something tangible. So he wanted to know, basically, me and Moses, if I and my people are going to follow you, you got to prove to me that you're worthy of us following you. So show me your glory, show me your firepower. And what does God say? He's like, well, you can't even look at this stuff. It was nuclear. He said, but you come back and I'm going to hide you tomorrow, and I'm going to hide you in the cleft of the rock. So my glory will pass by you and it won't kill you. Well, first of all, the glory of God wasn't something that he had carried around with him. It wasn't God's glory like we've been taught in the Bible, because it obviously was something that he had to get. And so when he did see the glory of God, I believe that he saw, if you will, the some kind of weaponry, some kind of firepower that God had, that he brought from this other planet. It was probably, Enlil. And he's like, y'all follow me, I'm gonna be your cover by day and by night. I'll be with you. And so they said it was a bright light that shone in the night, and they had in the clouds in the daytime. And it just like today, the flying saucers be up in the clouds. People be saying the stuff and saying, oh, look what's in the clouds and so forth. It's like that cloud by day, fire by night. They see light at night. Are you seeing these things now? People are showing these TikTok videos. What are those lights in the sky? Right? So he decided, okay, I see what you got. And I'm going to go down and let the people know that we're going to follow you. Right? And so he gave them instructions and said, but I need a team. I need a group of your guys or your people to learn how to operate this thing. And that's why they got the instructions to build it. I mean, to build the most holy, the holy of holies, and put the holy of holies all the way on the backside of the camp, because God knew that they were probably going to mess up, and before long, all the people would be dead if they didn't move that operation off there. So they told them they needed to make clothes that were certain, these robes that to this day ministers, well, they don't wear them as much now. People are waking up. But when I was in ministry, we paid thousands of dollars for ecclesiastical attire, and we were emanating what the Aaronic priesthood wore. But they wore, as the Spirit told me, they were wearing protective, like PPE or PP protective, whatever clothing that you would wear if you work in a nuclear plant. You wear certain stuff. So what they wore on their head, what they wore covering their clothes, what they wore on their feet, even the ephod with the stones that they wore, had a purpose to the work that they were doing. It had nothing to do with how holy these these people were, or how holy God was, because this, if you remember, this God was in conflict with his his older brother. His older brother was Enki. Enlil was the younger brother, but he was given rulership over the earth realm, and his brother Enki was given the job of sort of like a caretaker, but the rulership was in the hands of the younger brother, which seems a little odd, but the way the custom went with them is that the mother and the father had to be brothers and sisters. The children, it was incestuous. So Enki or Enlil was born as a result of his father and mother, who were siblings, getting together and making him. Enki was the older son, but Anuit had him by a woman that was not his relative, so to speak. And because of that, the rulership of Earth was given to that son who was Enlil. But Enki, he was a scientist. He and his sister, and they worked on creating these beings, and that ended up Enlil couldn't stand them and wanted to get rid of them. Floods. One day he'd say, go over there to the people over there and kill them all, and you can have the spoils. Kill the women, kill the children, kill the men, take the women, or kill everybody, take the babies. Y'all know the story. I'm just I'm just telling y'all as it was given to me. This is what happened to me. One day I was preaching like everybody else, and I went to a service, and the next thing I know, I had an out-of-body experience. And in my out-of-body experience, I started getting, I got a word that said, you must stop lying and tell the truth. I said, okay. I looked up, I remember it saying, okay. And then I started getting all this download. The stuff I'm sharing with y'all right now came to me over the course of time as downloads of information. Now, the folks that I used to church with and fellowship with and pastor and pray for and all that stuff, they thought I was crazy. But I knew I wasn't crazy, and I knew I couldn't go back to telling people the made up stories once the truth started going into my spirit, into my soul. I knew what I was saying was true. And if you look at today, the so-called history that we've given, the reconstruction of even things so much more recent, how they've changed the narrative to fit the fact that they have been victors in certain events. And because, they say to the victor go the spoils, they also say the one who wins, if you will, in the conflict gets to write the story or his story. And we have been a victim of somebody else telling us something that they wanted us to know. Like I said, with religion, we get told that, if you don't do this, you don't do that, God's going to get you, you're going to die, you're going to end up in a burning hell, and none of this stuff makes sense. You're going to burn forever. Like I said, I was starting to say earlier. So my sister had a near-death experience in the 70s, my younger sister. And she explained to me what happened to her. And since then, I have heard so many other accounts that sound like something that I was told like in the early 80s when she shared to me what happened. When she died or transitioned, she was immediately, she went out of her body. She hovered over her body. She saw herself. And the next thing she knew, she was in a place that was of great expanse. But she said she could feel the presence of something that was loving, but she never saw it. During the course of this period, she was shown her life. They tell you the truth about the life review, but she didn't get the review from a standpoint of a judgment. The judgment was from herself. She herself looked at what she had done over the years, particularly the things that she had done to other people. She said, if she had wronged someone or she had made somebody feel miserable or horrible, she saw it, but then she felt it multiplied over what she did to that person. So you do review, but it's not from a standpoint of somebody saying you messed up there when you messed up. No, you look at yourself and you go, that's not the way I should have done that, or I didn't plan it that way, but because of circumstances, look which way I let this go. And you watch, she says she reviewed her life. She felt a little sorry for things she had done to folks, but the guilt and all of the stuff it was her. It was nobody judging her or anything. And she said, just as quickly as that happened, she was whisked into a place that was so beautiful that she forgot all about everything. She said she didn't want to leave, but she said she began to think. They showed her us, the family. We were on she was on the West Coast, we were on the East Coast. She saw the family grieving and mourning her death. And so she said that they gave her a choice. I'm making it a short story, but they gave her a choice to stay or to go back. And because of us, she decided that she was going to come back. And she said, sis, coming back, she said, just think of, she said she was coming down through like all of these different realms. She was spiraling down in realms. She said, oh, she could imagine, describe them as realms, meaning she's like, sometimes she heard different sounds. She saw, sometimes it was darkness, sometimes it was quick, but it was, everything happens like in exponential time in those dimensions. But she knew she was coming down, and she was coming through different realms, and some of them were little, weren't as easy as the others. But she said when she came back into her body, she said, sis, it was like if you took a tomato and put it on the top of a ketchup bottle, and then hit the tomato and squished it all into the bottle. She said that's what it felt like when she came in through the top of her head. She said she went back into her body, and for years my sister would tell me, she said, sis, it's all I can do to stay in my body. She said, she said, now that she's been out of the body, it was so hard. She felt like she was in such a cramped space. Not only that, she came back, she was highly, I want to say highly electromagnetized, to the extent that she never wore watches again. She could never wear watches. She shorted out batteries, car batteries, clocks, appliances, and all this stuff. Wherever she was during that period of being out of her body and in the realm of, crossing over, she came back like she had stuck her, she became a battery, or she became some kind of transformer. And she shared it with me. And she said, it's all I can do. She said, to stay in my body. Now, the thing I don't understand, and I'm glad my sister's still here with us, but about 6 years ago, my sister had a massive aneurysm. And they told us, they didn't think that she was going to make it. And it was touch and go. She was in a coma for a long time. And when she came out of the coma, she's not a vegetable, but she recognizes us when we come to see her and so forth. But my sister was, sharp, powerful. She had multiple degrees. She was just somebody you would envy. And it just baffled me that my sister would decide, after knowing how it felt to be out of the body and in that place where we start from, that she would stay here in that state where she had to be fed and changed and all that. At first I couldn't wrap my head around it, or my mind around why she would stay. But then I realized that when even the lives that we choose, that was her choice. That was the choice, obviously, that she made to be here for whatever period of time that she was here, on top of the world, businesswoman, six-figure income. And to let the latter part of her time here, I would say to her sometimes, I've said to her when I go to see her, I said, you chilling in there, aren't you? And she just looked at me, because, I guess I was thinking, well, if you know how beautiful it is not to be in the body, then why would you stay in the body, in this state? But that just goes to show you, y'all, that we make these choices. We decide the lives that we're going to live. So obviously that's how she wrote the script of her lives. And you've written scripts, I've written scripts, and sometimes we go through the woe is me and why me, why not you, especially since you scripted it. You picked out where you were going to be born and who was going to be your friends and who were going to be your foes, and what were going to be your experiences, because you had the choice to make we don't come here in the blind. We forget. I think we forget what that we chose to come here, and that's like, to me, like a quest. My download has been that we're on a quest, and this not us, but the Most High is on a quest, and the Most High lives that quest out through each and every one of us, good, so-called good or bad. All of that stuff sits on the same spectrum. I mean, you move a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and you either there in a good space, or what we call good, or you what we call a lower space. And you're right. So High says the term hell at law means debtor's chamber. It sure does. It means the exchequer's chamber, and it means the place where they used to throw the people who couldn't pay their debts in most cases, a lot of times they were under the church. Isn't that interesting? That these people were thrown into hell, so-called hell, and it was under the church. And so the very thing that had a negative connotation years and years ago changed to be the place of our so-called salvation. Isn't that interesting? As times change, they rewrite the narrative, they rewrite the story. And depending on who you are and who you have in continuity that can keep the truth alive, we get cut off from the truth, and a whole new narrative gets written. A whole new thing gets written. And we find ourselves at odds, because some folks like myself will break out of that matrix, will break out of that womb, and begin to hear or see from a higher place that, than those who feel like they're, going that I want to call it that broad path. They think that if they're in the church, they're on the narrow path. But to me, people in organized religion are really, boogalooing down Broadway, because it's a narrow path for those who will walk the line of truth, who will dare to step outside of, traditions and what their mothers and fathers and ancestors did, and to blaze a path of their own. Folks will call you crazy. Folks will shun you. Folks will decide that, you're not worth. I had somebody say to me not too long ago, "We're not like you." And so as Z9, where's the guest? I have to be my own guest today, because my daughter's phone, they're having bad weather where she is, and it kept cutting her off. And the last time it cut her off, she hasn't been able to get back on yet. So rather than cut off and just say, y'all sorry, I'm just doing what I didn't want to do, and to just have a conversation with you regarding past life and near-death experiences. And the reason why I share this is because so many people, are leaving here in fear. And I believe if you believe in hell, you already know what hell is supposed to be. You will create that, because you are a creator. So if you want to leave here and end up in a place of torment and hellfire and brimstone, guess what? Your mind will create it for you. You will not be disappointed. But on the other hand, if you realize that you are God experiencing itself as you are not your body. You are riding around, if you will, in a body, that you are more than what you see in the mirror. You are, like I said, God. The Big Bang was not what they told us. The Big Bang was God saying, I'll be all these multiple, beings. I can experience myself in different dimensions, different dimensions, and as different beings, as different, levels, if you will. And the hardest thing for folks to do, or for a soul to do, is to come here on this earth. They'll tell you that. So I want to talk to you spiritual, you folks that think outside the box like Dr. G does, right? I walked away from something that was traditional, and that was, still to this day is what people will cling to. People are afraid to walk in their truth when it comes to things like religion and politics or politricks. But Dr. G's not afraid to do that. Y'all ought to know that. If anybody has any inkling about me over the last several years that you've been hearing from me, whether I'm here with Grand Sheik Taj Tariq Bey or whether I'm sitting here with a guest or by myself, y'all know, you know what I mean? I'm not afraid to go into areas that are smashed sacred cows or go into taboo areas because I got a mind, and my mind is like many of your minds. I think way outside the box. And when I think outside the box, I find the answers to the things I query about out there. Now, are they popular? No, probably not. But do they satisfy me? And is it all right in my soul and my spirit that what I'm saying or what I've begun to make as my truth, that it is really that? I don't try to make anybody else, like I did in the beginning, believe what I say. You hear me, but you don't have to believe me. You see what I'm saying? I used to get upset. Like, I need to, like church folks, you need to save the world. I don't need to save anybody. I just need to tell the truth. I wasn't told to save anybody. I was told to stop lying and tell the truth. And I said yes to that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would love for Maisha. I will bring her back when things are. She needs to probably get on a computer. But for me and for right now, y'all, I am having a conversation with you all from my heart, rather than not have anything said at all. It was funny because earlier I said, I don't want to be a talking head. I don't want to be on here talking to nobody, but I know I'm not talking to nobody because I'm talking to you. But I'm an interviewer. I'm really good, if you all know it, at pulling stuff out of my guests and so forth. But tonight, as it would be, she's been on it twice, and I'm thinking, she probably took my spiritual granddaughter to the hospital because she was not feeling well. And I'd rather for her to go and take care of Kyle than be on here popping off and on and off trying to please me, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that folks, I need to let anybody on there want to come on here and share anything with us. I've never done this before, y'all. I may be opening myself up for something, but is there anyone that would like, put it in the chat, that would like to come on? I'm gonna give you a minute. Don't everybody say it me at once. Look up truth. Yeah, I mean, listen, I live my truth. I didn't always live my truth, and it's a good thing. Let me see this. So let me put this question out there. Comment. Then, if we come back differently, then how have we come up with those that's been grafted by cat, rat, dog? How do we come up with these concepts? Some of us don't have souls. Those are, first of all, you said you hit the nail on the head. They concepts. I know they sound good, but we do have the ability to incarnate in whatever form we choose. And we don't have to incarnate on this, if you will, in this plane or this dimension. We don't have to come in this third dimensional reality. We could be on some other planet or in some other realm within this planet. There are folks that, live under the earth. I believe that there are folks that are living in inner earth. There are folks that live beyond the ice walls in the Antarctic. There are beings that live under the water, right? There are folks that are beings that don't have a body, but they etherically are in dimensions. So there are so many possibilities that even though somebody comes up with a concept of cat, rat, dog, or they were this and they don't have souls, I tend to feel that we can be who we wanted to be when we make the decision to come here. Like I said, coming here is the hardest place to come. We get, they be up there going, hey, we applaud you, we salute you, but we're not coming down here. Some souls never come down here, never want to come down here because it's so difficult. Just look how hard it is for us, y'all. Look how hard it is for us to come together. We all here basically the same kind of beings, and we can't agree on too much of anything. We allow anything and everything to come in and distract us and take us off course and have us hating on each other and everything. So they look at this from a higher place and go, I don't want to be a part of that confusion. Basically, we are here in the body of the Most High. And I don't know whether Mother said it, but I've said it, I preached it. We're like cells in the body. We're like appendages, if you will, organs and tissues and, phalanges, those are fingers and toes. And if we fight against ourselves, it's like you giving yourself a black eye. I am a reflection of you and you are a reflection of me. And if we start to look at ourselves that we're in the same body, so to speak, maybe perhaps we will be able to we'll be able to work a little bit more harmoniously together, instead of having these levels of who's superior to what, who's got more knowledge. If you got the knowledge, then guess what? We got the knowledge, because we in this thing together, y'all. That's the way I see it. Let me go back to the comments. Okay, Raisin L says this. I like this. The mirror or the meeting place for me is in the heart. And science has proven that to be true. That there's a group called the Heart Math Institute, an institute based on studying, how we operate from the heart. And it's interesting, the pictures of the depictions, they're not pictures, the depictions that we see of supposedly of Jesus. A lot of times they will show the heart outside of the body, or the heart prominently with light shining in the area of the heart area. And that is telling us something right there. That is telling us that, and when you deal in terms of the chakras, now some people say there are more than 7, but let's just say there's 7. The heart is at midpoint at number 4. So there are 3 chakras below and 3 chakras above the heart. So right in the middle, the balance is for us to operate from a place of balance, which would be from the heart. From the heart. And that, for many, is the hardest place to operate from. Why? Because we have made it difficult in how we scripted our lives. It's a challenge for you to operate from the heart. And I believe that we write it in, or plan it in to be a challenge. But the challenge is, the best part is to meet the challenge, of operating from the heart. Yeah, you're going to have your detractors. You're going to have your, what do you have? You have the you got the people that are the antagonists and the protagonists, right? So you're going to have your antagonists, but you wrote them into your script of life so that it wouldn't be so easy, so that the victory would be that much sweeter, because you were able to overcome some ish that would have taken you out. But you did it from a place of love. You did not reciprocate to what, because they say kill them with kindness. They say kill them with kindness. I've learned to do that. Sometimes, folks will, I put things on my Facebook page. Sometimes I know will make people go, who she thinks she is? I don't think I'm anybody. I know who I am. And when you know who you are, you're not in conflict with anybody else. You don't have to be, because you know you. It doesn't, I didn't come here for you to know me. I came here for me to know me. Okay? My assignment was to fulfill my assignment, to do all the things that I planned out when I looked out and said, look, send me, I go. It was like, who gonna go? We need another group to come. Who's going? And a lot of them backed up and said, I know how it is down there on earth. I know how it's gonna be. I'm not going there. Or they were like, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, rather be in this place right now where I ain't got to worry about nothing like that. I'm just, I'm one with the one. But others of us have come back over and over again. I tend to, for me personally, I don't know how many times I've been here, but I know of one time that I was here other than this time. And the interesting part about that is that it's in the family. A lot of times we come back into the same family or soul group. So, and it's got some interesting numbers. Now, listen to this, y'all. So, my grandmother, my mother's mother, was born in 1911. I want you to hear the numbers. She was born in 1911. She died or transitioned in 1944 at the age of 33. And then I was born when she came back in 1955. All of these, I was like, oh my goodness, 11, 33, 44, 55. And I have some, I don't know what my grandmother looked like. I remember my mother telling me, because I couldn't, I kept, well, let's put it like this. I don't remember what I looked like back then, but remember my mother telling me that when she was trying to find out, because she was only 7, the women that knew my grandmother said, if you wanted to know, she's older, she was looking for pictures. And they said, well, if you want to know what your mother looked like, then you look at your daughter. Your mother was lighter, but there she is right there, right? And she died at 33. So my mother had this fear of me dying at 33. And then I realized that my mother also treated me sometimes like I was her mother. But in another life, guess what? I was. And I came back. My mother lived to be 65, and a month, 1 month after she turned 65, she left. I'm 68. And I declared that I'm going to be here till I'm 120 unless I change my mind. But then I realized that, we should be able to be here till we're 120. But in that first incarnation as Edith, right, it was a short one. And then I turned around and I came back, that was in a time, maybe I knew, that was probably during the Depression. It was around 1944. So we talking about, what's that? Pearl Harbor, 42. She was in that area. She died of tuberculosis. There was a big plague I found out during that time, and a lot of folks, melanated people, died of TB. They had a lot of asylums that they created, sanatoriums they called them. But it was almost like, y'all, the CV-19 of today, back then in the 40s, but it was TB. Isn't that interesting? It was TB back then. So a lot of folks lost their lives or decided to leave via that, just like a lot of them had decided to leave via what we're going through now. But I personally, I was told when I had a reading, it was 10 years ago, a sister was studying and she did Akashic Records reading. And she did a reading for me. And she said to me, you are a blueprint originator. And she explained that I had been here, a part of the planning of some things. And that I was back now to see how those things all worked out. Right. So, I believe that's why I'm here. I believe that's why I get so many odd downloads of information. Why do I know things that seem to be, off the beaten path and incredulous? Is because I was here when those plans were made. So I kind of know what it is in my soul, y'all. So I'm talking about in the soulish realm. I don't get it just, by osmosis, but I study lots of things. I study, I'm interested in astrology and numerology. That's why people on here like Mother Kai and others, and near-death experiences and energy work and all that stuff, because it's in me. Throughout the ages. And for some of you, it's the same thing. You're just picking up on things that you have had in your previous lifetimes. Now, I will tell you another thing, sort of like a mark. Sometimes they'll say you're born with birthmarks and so forth, and it's from your previous life. A lot of times it might be like a black mark or whatever, or blue mark, and they're saying, oh, well, you probably were shot there. I suffer or struggle with a lot of times issues in breathing and lung issues. But when I realized that in my other life, TB took me out, I realized that that's just a residual, if you will, of that other life that I had. they've been trying to tell me I had lung issues for as long as I remember, and I could never identify with it. But I realized now, I do believe that I'm going to go through something that's going to wipe it out, because it is actually just a residual, but I have to come into that knowledge first. But I know it is part of what took this soul out in 1944, y'all. Now you can think Dr. G crazy, but I'm crazy, y'all. Let me look at the comments, because I want to stay connected. So definitely Dale, what I can say all my life. I think my first walk through, right? I've been here. Yeah, divine. Yeah, I'm looking. Okay, here's a question. Thank you for your good works. Question: any news about the med beds being made accessible to us, as mentioned by Dr. Kia Pruitt, and when will she return to your channel to share more? Okay, well, I don't know. Actually, I was supposed to be on her show about a couple of months ago, and we had to reschedule, but we haven't rescheduled yet. But the med beds, they say that they are already in existence in some places. As a matter of fact, I happen to know a brother, a doctor in Roswell, Georgia, who has a med bed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. First, he had a med chair, and I think he does have the med chair, a med bed now. So I can get that information and make that available to you, because it's okay. It's called the Ahimke Center. And he's in Roswell, Georgia, Ahimki, I believe. Y'all can look it up. And among other things, brother does have a med bed there. But when Dr. Kia speaks of med beds, she talks about the fact that the plan, or at least the White Hats, say that they're going to be made available to everybody free of cost. People will be able to, that they were going to, the word I got, that they were going to first use it to heal the children that have been victims of things, and women who have been victims of things, and then after that be made available to the general public. I was telling somebody, I'm drinking copper water, and yeah, this is like copper through and through. You can see it, and copper water is good for a lot of things, but you can overdo it. So, but let me take a sip. Excuse me. But I was telling somebody about doctors and give them an example about the church and the hospitals and doctors. Yeah, that's what I was doing. And just the other day, and I said, let's think for a minute. Why don't these things exist for the general public to partake in now? It's because that commerce, there's so much big business going on that they would definitely not introduce to the public anything that is going to cure. There's no profit in the cure. And so the church, the medical profession, so to speak, would rather treat symptoms, which cause other symptoms, and other symptoms, and snowball into, if you will, debilitating diseases and or maybe death as a result of these treatments that we get, as opposed to curing the cause. And the only one who is going to be looking at you, or will probably look at you and want you to be cured, is you. And when you have the mindset that these people are in business to deal with sick people, and I need to go someplace where wellness is the key. I need to go someplace where what they're doing is bringing me to, homeostasis, balance, and so forth. You need to listen to some things that, some of these people say that might sound a little bit out the box. I mean, like, I've been studying stuff like glucose spikes and things like that, because a lot of folks that look like you and me suffer from supposedly, diabetes and type 2s and high blood pressures and stuff. And they know for a fact that a lot of folks start out on blood pressure medicines, BP meds. I need to say BP meds. Let me try not to be saying triggers. BP stuff, and that BP stuff leads them to maybe the diabetes stuff, which may lead to issues with the kidneys, which may lead to this other business now that they've created, dialysis, right? There's so many industries that have been created to deal with sickness, but not much exists when it comes in terms of wellness. And when we come to you and folks come to you with wellness things, we've been so indoctrinated that, you know, the only ones that can cure our diseases is somebody who manufactures something in a laboratory, rather than look into the creation. Like I told y'all before, outside the House of Reawakening Minds in our backyard, we had like a whole medicinal, if you will, apothecary this summer. I mean, things that healed anything, cured anything, or addressed, let's call it addressed, things such as high blood pressure, liver, feminine. You know, if you have problems with your like say you were going through menopause or whatever, we had so much stuff back there growing that we didn't plant. The whole place was like, you know, a mass with whatever you need. Here it is. It's right out here. But most of us would rather go to, you know, whatever the pharmacy is, go to the doctor, get a prescription, not knowing, like the guy who's can tell people when they're gonna die. You know what? He's an actuary that can tell folks how long they're gonna live. What they do is they look at your medical history and they look at your drug, the prescriptions that you take, and they know what prescription, long-term use, leads to what other prescription, to whatever other prescription, to whatever illness, and they can pretty much predict within the month when you're gonna die. Why? Not because there's some profit, because they know that what they made is a succession of things that leads to death, and they know that. That's how they tell. They tell by what you're taking. You know, they've gotten us to the place now where even the things that we knew or thought to be healthy things, you can't even trust them. I've started to go through my cupboards now, and I got to relook at the back of stuff. Recently, you know, they changed it from GMO to bioengineered, but I wasn't even paying attention as much to GMOs. And then I looked and I said, Oreo cookies are bioengineered. Well, I haven't had an Oreo cookie since I saw that on the back of the package. You know, so many things that we are ingesting, we might as well be ingesting rat poison, you know, or arsenic, or you know, like, you know how they say, well, she poisoned them, but she did it slowly in a little bit at a time in his food. Well, what do you think they doing to us? In our food, in our water, in our air, in the so-called meds. There's very few, you know, things now that you can safely ingest without having to like look it up. You know, okay, it has no seed in it. I don't need anything without seed. But then again, if I go out and buy something that's already pre-cooked, how do you know what that stuff had in it? See, we need to stop. We can't even go out and eat much or anything anymore, y'all, because you don't know what other people are using to prepare the stuff for you, that now we know everything is suspect. You know, the latest thing I've looked at, y'all probably saw it, is that these killer mosquitoes. You know, mosquitoes aren't even, I mean, they were always a pest, but now we're being told that they're being dropped on the populace. So be mindful of big crowds outdoors, y'all, particularly us, when they know we somewhere. You know, if there be another Afram come up, then you know that they doing this stuff, y'all. Let me look at the comments. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for just letting me. I think I'm doing a rant. Who is it that does rants? Billy Carson. Yeah, Billy Carson is always saying he's doing a rant. I'm doing it. Let me go back and see if there's questions. All right, here's one. Do you believe your dreams are significant in this life? Well, angel planes. I don't remember a lot of my. I don't say I don't dream, but I don't remember a lot of my dreams. But I do believe that I believe in astral traveling. I believe we go in at night. And I listened to this sister give such a great explanation. I cannot recall her appellation, but I'm gonna try to find her and get her on the show. But she was talking about, and this was something she did like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and she gave an example, and she had a doll, and the doll didn't have any features or at all on it. It was just like, you know how you would just take the white cloth and cut it out in the shape of a body, and then just have the body, so no gender, no face, no whatever, facial structure. But she's like, this is like your body, and she had a cord on her around her waist that was with her outfit. So she tied the the long end of it that was sticking out around the waist of the doll that she was. It was like a, just like one of those stuffed dolls. She tied it around, and she said, when we go to sleep at night and we astral travel, she held the doll up. It's like your spirit, that was supposed to be like the soul or the spirit, comes out of the physical vehicle body and travels and does what it wants to do, and it's always attached by a cord. There is a, and you've heard this probably before. It's almost like an umbilical cord that, just think in terms of, you've seen like one of these space movies, and they tether, the astronaut goes out and it's flying around in space, and they have a cord attached, a tether. So we have something similar to that in the spirit realm attached to us. So when we go to sleep and astral travel, we're able, as long as we stay tethered to that cord, we're able then to come back into the body at will when we're ready. For example, say you get awakened in the middle of the night because your bladder is full. Well, you might be out astral traveling, so your bladder kind of has to say to the spirit or the soul that's out in other dimensions, come back. And have you sometimes awakened and felt like you were just like jolted into your body? It's like you had to come back in there and go do something in the third dimensional plane. So I don't know if that is a good answer, but I believe that we travel. And so at transition, back to that cord, when we transition, that is when the cord disconnects. That's when we can, we're always attached or tethered to the body by a spiritual, if you will, cord that always allows us to be like a balloon floating. If long as the balloon is being held, it can only go but so far, but you can always pull it back. But when you let it go or disconnect it, that's when we get into the great, expanse of everything. We go back to the all that is all. So let me look, y'all. I hope you all aren't like really disappointed. I'm disappointed. Couldn't talk to Aisha, but I hope y'all are not disappointed with the things that I'm sharing. These are things that when I'm not talking about birthrights and nationality, these are the things that Dr. G delves into. I've all my life been on the fringe, but I don't get to say that to y'all a lot of time, these things, because y'all don't want to hear it, but you're hearing it today because what's on the inside's got to come out. Let me see. So one of the things I do this thing called the AO scan. You kind of see it going, scanning about. It's a machine that you can purchase or actually have a scan, and that's another thing. Technology. This technology, if you heard of Royal Rife or scalar technology, is what the AO scan is based on, and it's able to energetically pick up what is going on in a body from without touching the body. And I'm talking about, it can do a psych eval, it could do a blood and urine analysis, a MRI, and I don't know what the other would be. It could scan the whole body, mind, and so forth, not even touching people. And anybody who is on here, I don't know if there's anybody on in the live that has had an AO scan from me. They know, and they wonder, how does this thing know this? Because we are energy. It is energy. This stuff is old technology, stuff that used to happen probably all the time. And they take the technology, they bury stuff, and then they piecemeal it out a little bit at a time and try to make pretend they have some new discovery. Nothing new under the sun. They did, our ancestors did more then probably than they've allowed us to experience now, truth be told. So this technology exists, but it not only are we able to look at inside the mind, the body, the organs, and the if you will, and various, the DNA and all that through the scanner, we're able to direct energy back to the body in the places that might have energy disturbances. That's what I'm going to call them. We can balance the chakras and balance we can send energy, at a kidney that may have an imbalance, because everything has its own frequency. So if your kidney should be, I'm just making this up, 4.4 frequency, and your kidney is showing up at 3.9, we can direct energy at that kidney and try to get it as close to 4.4. And I'm just saying this number wise, but bringing as close to balance or homeostasis as possible, without touching, without giving you a drug or anything. That same energy, we can take it and direct it at a room and clear the negative energy out of it, and then imprint, if you will, the energy that you want. We can take items and imprint them with the energy, so that when I got this bracelet on, for instance, now I've imprinted it, say with maybe I'm having issues with maybe concentration, and so maybe I imprint concentration using my device into this bracelet. So every time as I'm wearing this, the energy of concentration is not only on me, but it's flowing through me. And we've seen amazing results. This is this thing. I think everybody should have one for their house. Everyone should have one for their family, rather, so that you be the point person in your family with whoever, whenever somebody needs it. I mean, I scan my dog, I scan my cat. I mean, it told me when my dog was having an emotional breakdown and insecure in his environment. And the funny part about it, not funny, but the thing that hit it home, is that he was becoming, at the time, his blindness was increasing, and the cat, who was about the same size as the dog, the dog now has become afraid of him because he can't see. He couldn't see. The scan picked up the dog's insecurity. So if it could pick up what's going on with a dog and a cat and a horse and a ferret and whatever, it can pick up and deal with what's going on with us. And so there's so much technology, because I'm buddy backing off of the med bed question. There's stuff out here that exists that they don't want us to partake in, because there's big business in dealing with sick people, in managing sickness. I want to promote wellness. I try to promote wellness. That's what I'm about, y'all. Let me look, see if there's any more comments. Let me go back up here and kind of see. If I overlook something that y'all said, I want to address any questions that might be up here. Let me go down to the bottom. Okay. Well, thank you, Jacqueline Russ. Oh, thank you, HOA. Thank you so much. Thank you, John Harris. Thank you, Ferio L. AO Skin. No. So, AO Scan. Okay. Where do we get an affordable one, or what's the investment range? I should do a segment. I think I'll do a thing on the private side and talk about it. But the AO scan, to get an AO scan in one's home, I would say it's an investment of under about 700 notes. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But there is a monthly subscription fee. And the reason why I'm saying 700 is because that 700 would include the monthly subscription fee. When you get an annual membership, it's like $49 to the company, but you can purchase that AO scan for $4.95. That usually costs $6.95, and then we pay a monthly fee for your technology. But when I tell you, since I became a part of this in 2020, and I paid the same amount per month that we pay now. We had nothing like we have now. We are able to look and see and change and do so much. It'll blow your mind. And I don't know if there's anyone on here that has ever had an AO scan. Let somebody know. Say it in the comments. Let them know how that, the information, and you weren't touched physically, but yet the information that came out about you, you're looking, you were told that your blood sugar was, you were, what do they call it? Pre-diabetic. And yeah, we saw it there without even pricking your finger. So yeah, I mean, I've even seen on scans where people, got the jab. It shows it there. So I'm going back just to see. Karen Williams wants to know how to get my hair products. Okay. All right. I'm going to probably put the link in the, I'll post the link if you're still on here. But let me just look. So, any questions? I'm surprised. Nobody, did y'all know I offered to bring somebody on here with me and none of y'all said yes? Y'all scared? Some of y'all be saying so much behind the camera. I mean, on the other side. And I was going to give you an opportunity to come on and chat with me. But let me see. Did anybody say yes? I'm reading. Because I've talked about a whole lot. Bill, I don't know. Walking around not knowing their more. Okay. Walked in circus high after. Y'all just bear with me. I'm just looking for something that I can respond to. Grand Sheik is gonna be on this week, so y'all get your he'll be on. Matter of fact, he came in here. I don't know if y'all saw me about half hour or 40 minutes ago when I went like that, reached like that. He came in and was handing me something, and he's on his way back to work, and he's working on the house that we want y'all to be a part of. He's doing that. Okay. Oh wow. Self-pretending. In other words, they sold their souls. Okay. I'm looking, y'all. I want to be able to okay. But like I said, I believe in wellness, and I love it when I call Mother Kai and she answers the phone, and another Sister Inez ill, and they say wholeness. When you call them, they say wholeness. And so it's a declaration for themselves, but it's also a declaration to me that they're speaking wholeness over me. And we need to start, get into those habits. Because I do it sometimes. I get frustrated, y'all. But the words we say, hello, yes, it is. It's low vibrational. So we need to start saying things and doing things to keep us in a high. If it's our higher self, elevated into our higher self. I mean, you can go either way. JJ problems. Okay. What is the best way to change your diet if you're trying to get off meat? You know what? I think the best way to change your diet if you're trying to get off meat is to start looking at how can you get into more of a plant-based, but not so much all the stuff that they have, in that they're manufacturing, because you want to stay away from stuff like soy. So a lot of times some of these plant-based products are soy-based. Sometimes people have plant-based products that are gluten-based, and so that may be an issue. But if you like things like, for instance, you want to eat like meat, and you don't want it to be meat, but you want the consistency or taste of meat, perhaps you get mushrooms. Like I love mushrooms, and I try to purchase oyster mushrooms and portobello mushrooms and lion's mane. You get different mushrooms and stir fry them, and you season them right, you'll think you have meat. You could grind, boil mushrooms a little bit. We don't normally do it. A lot of times I just stir fry the mushrooms, but it's good to, if you want to get a meaty, really good meaty consistency, you can boil them just a little bit and then stir fry them if that's what you're going to do. But you can also boil them and put them in the food processor, chop them up, and then you can get walnuts and chop that up. And when you put those things together, it's almost like you got ground meat, like ground beef. And once you do that, you can make your patties, you can season them, put your onions, peppers, whatever things you're going to put in it. And you don't have meat, you have the vegetable. And then, like I said, learn to, wean yourself, for it's not easy, but start trying some of these alternatives. But the more you can make it yourself, then you're really getting whole foods. Because the stuff, this beyond this and beyond that, that's telling. So you call it beyond because what is it? Like what is it? So much that is beyond real. So make your own. You can use like today. I'm learning how. One thing that I've learned, y'all, is I'm reading a book. You need to get a book called The Glucose Goddess. I know some of you, your brother that asked, but Glucose Goddess. If you have what's the name of that thing? If you have Scrib, I think you can get it on Scrib with your Scrib membership. But look up The Glucose Goddess, or Google, or go to YouTube, and there's an interview with the woman who wrote that. And I learned so many important major insights about how food affects us by listening to this woman's interview. And the thing she said is important in the morning. The first meal that you eat should be one, they talk about something that's umami is something normally salty. So you don't want to eat sweet first thing. In other words, they tell us to get a smoothie. And the only way you could do a smoothie in the morning, that it should be all green. No pineapple, banana, it needs to be, it would be green. Otherwise, slice up an avocado. I've been eating avocados in the morning, with maybe boiled egg. I do eat eggs, so a boiled egg and some avocado, and it fills me up. You want to limit breads. I love bread, so I have been keeping away from bread. And trust me, they say anything you can do for 21 days can become a habit. So I'm 1/3 of the way there. I'm working on it, because I would wrap a piece of bread around anything. I'll wrap around my finger just so I can eat the bread. So I'm trying very hard to, not to do it. The other thing I do is first thing in the morning, I put squeeze a half a lemon in the water, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and some warm water, some filtered water, filtered water. I have a big Berkey, so I warm it and I put some coal, and then I heat some of it, and I have a big glass of lemon water. That is good to have first thing. Helps to cut the appetite. So I would just suggest, eat more salads. Don't stay away from things that are seedless. Reduce your sugar. Increase, because I'm trying your hydration, because we see that a lot on the AL scan, and I already know, with people needing to hydrate more. So yeah, and the other thing that's important is getting sleep, getting the proper rest. I don't get proper rest. Half the time I fall asleep on the couch, but I know I know that weight stays on you when you don't sleep, and sleeping at the proper time. There is a circadian clock, a clock that we're on, that during certain times your body goes through different stages of healing and repair. And if you up watching Netflix, or Hulu or whatever, because back when I was growing up, the TV used to go off at midnight or just before midnight. We were here, the Star Spangled Banner. They have a striped thing that would come up the thing, and then it goes poof, and everything went off. So you had no choice. Now they want you to stay up, because not sleeping cuts your life short and makes you fat, keeps you fat. How about that? So I hope that I ran it, but I hope I hope that answers your question, y'all. If that helps anybody. Say, yep, I'm about to knock out foods. Yeah, smoke. Let's see. How can you how can you get your loved one to try and understand what's going on in the real world? Bricks. I think that that's just like anything else we deal with. As we are enlightened, our hope is that our family and friends will see what we see, how we see it, when we see it. But that's not how it often goes. You're gonna have to find your tribe and build. You want to say kick it and build with your tribe. This is a tribe, if you will. This y'all who come here on Tuesdays and every first and third Fridays, and sometimes show up at the fourth Friday in the House of Real Awakening Minds. We're part of the same tribe, but a lot of times it's the ones closest to us, JJ, that don't want to hear what we say or don't take they take lightly the enlightenment that we have obtained, because they like, I know him, I know her. How's she gonna know? How he gonna know more than I know? That I knew him when he was in diapers. I knew her, when she was still, smoking this and on the pipe. Folks go from one extreme to another. We do in our lives, y'all. Dr. G is really, sometimes to some of y'all think I'm like, God, she's so deep. She's this and she knows all this stuff. But when Dr. G years and years and years and years ago, was, smoking something she had no business smoking, y'all wouldn't even have listened to me. So we can come from a lot of different places, but a lot of times people closest to us are the ones who respect the knowledge that we try to bring them the least. So you live it. You live your truth. Hopefully they see it. And then when they hear it from somebody else, they be like, God, Jay said that. JJ said that. It must be true. They don't believe us. And so I don't worry about it anymore. I don't worry about it. I'll tell people any day I talk about you all. I say in my little town here, some of them still think I'm crazy. Somebody told me we're not like you. And I thought, yeah, you're damn right you're not. But I say 33,000 subscribers know who I am across the world. So do you think I care that you don't see things my way? Toodles. The information is out there. If you want it, you got it. But if you don't, I'm not going to lose any sleep over your decision to remain in the dark. And I know it sounds a little rough, but that's the way I see it, y'all. Let me see. You have to do that because your heart can become broken trying to what we call fix or save other people, and that's not what we're called to do. You think you are, but you can't. You can't. Only thing that they can do is fix themselves, open themselves up to the truth, and get it the same way you did it. And if they don't want it, that's a choice that they've made. And know this: they're not going to hell if they don't get what you got, JJ, and anybody else who's concerned with their loved ones not getting it. They'll get it eventually, or at least they'll get back to the to the home base, and we'll all be together again, and we'll be on one accord. So that's the way I see it now. I have a totally different perspective. I will not lose sleep over somebody else's, not wanting to know what I feel is truth and would be helpful to them. I'm going to speak it to the atmosphere, and if it's some of that truth sprinkles out and falls on you, and you're able to use it, good. If not, let's shake the dust off my feet and I keep it moving, y'all. In the spirit of just, hey, we all have a choice. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ray Sales, you said your appetite is almost gone. Is that because you're doing something in particular? And is that good? I mean, are you saying going in that you've reduced your caloric intake or oh, thank you so much, S. Smith. Thank you so much. You can believe whatever you want because I know. Yes, you have to know. Timestamps. I say our job is to fix the light, and if that's so, but the light that we're to fix is the light in us. You gotta fix your own light, like that old song say, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." I mean, there's some truth in some of that stuff, So it's you just oh, sister, I mentioned Sister Inez right. Inez Rice Els is one of the ones who says wholeness whenever we speak. We came back in the family that we have lessons to learn and vice versa. Keep your focus and keep growing. If they come along our way, great. And if not, they are still on their learning cycle. They show are. That's the way I look at it. I don't get mad. I don't get angry. I don't get frustrated. And everybody is not your soulmate. Everybody's not your, your what do they call it? Was it the twin flame or everybody? Even sometimes some of you are in families that you probably have said, I don't even know these people. I don't even like these people. Well, that's where you incarnated to learn something. They're only gonna reflect what you need to learn. They're reflecting you. Gosh, they reflect in us. So sometimes we let ourselves be born into families that we have to feel like we have absolutely no connection whatsoever to. But that was the challenge that we decided to undertake. I like this too. Our only job is to clean our mirror so that we can reflect as best to our abilities. That's true. That's absolutely true. Listen. So Command Fly said, my mother is a hardcore Jesus take the wheel person. I ain't about to convince her nothing about no more than nothing else. I got you. I feel you. I feel you. I would have said that about myself too. 12 years ago, 13 years ago, but no, sometimes change. To the Bow's parents that shot us arrows, mom will see us to demonstrate and stay in habit. All right. Yeah. You know what? My example about like waking up when if you're home, just look at this example. Say you live in a house with other folks, and you got to get up at say 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready for work or school, and somebody else has to be where they have to be at 9:30, so they don't get up till like maybe 8. Maybe they get up at 8 and they can do it in an hour and a half, or maybe somebody else doesn't have to works the night shift, so you all set your clocks, right? When your 6 a.m. clock alarms, 9 times out of 10, if I set an alarm clock, I wake up a little bit before the clock alarms, and I get to turn it off before, or quickly turn it off before it actually goes off, because when you set the time in your spirit, you can tell yourself you need to wake up at 6. Y'all wake up at 5:45. I don't know if you've had that experience. And I'm saying this to say the people that don't have to get up till 8 or don't have to get up till 1, they don't hear your clock alarm, because that is not their wake up call. You got the wake up call for your time. And you may even be called to shine that truth of your wake up outside of that house or that that environment. So everybody doesn't get the call at the same time. Everybody doesn't wake up, I want to say, at the same time. We wake up in our own divine time, whatever time is set for us. And so you can't, and what happens if you wake folk up, when they're not ready to wake up? People be mad, folk get angry, they salty, they're discombobulated, disoriented, because it wasn't time for them to wake up. When I started seeing things like that, I began to, understand that, this was my journey. And whoever I met on the path, that's who I was supposed to meet. I wasn't supposed to go knocking on no doors like no Jehovah's Witnesses, no Mormons. I was just supposed to be on the path, let my light shine, and I would meet others along the way. I met you all. That's how it happened. I met Grand Sheik Taj Tariq Bey on my path. I didn't knock on anybody's door. So, it's just, it makes sense that you want what you think is good for those that you love and care for. But sometimes that can drive such a wedge in a family dynamic that you don't want to do it. But that doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you back up on your truth for you. Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, so I could say when I say, oh, okay, raising L's, you responded. I don't have. Okay, what did you say? said, I don't have a desire for foods much, and I have substituted food for things like controlled breathing, juice, my studies, raising and building my household, etc. And yeah, yeah, because we don't. I just heard something. I think we could go. I think the scientists, the doctor said we could go like a month or so or more without food. But what we do need is hydration. We need water. We need water more than we need food, because at a certain point, I mean, we got enough fat, if you will, that's built up in the body that if you, so to speak, starve the body long enough, it eventually will say, you know what, I need to eat some of this fat that's up in this midsection and on his arms, this little extra stuff. It'll go start nibbling on that stuff, so to speak. I know it's not nibbling, but it'll start breaking down those things before you're good. You're not gonna die. And then he said, sometimes if you just eat like a cracker or so, it brings what they say satiety to you. It'll satisfy you, and you don't have to go binging on cake and ice cream and all the things a lot of times. Because if we get real hungry, a lot of times you grab and that whatever's in the refrigerator late night, raiding the refrigerator, or oh gosh, yeah, there's some muffins in there, let me eat one of those muffins. Well, that's 350 calories, and now you're going to sleep on it. Not good. So we have to discipline ourselves, and we have to know that the whole, what I'm hearing about the diet industry is that it's a ripoff. That most of the stuff that they tell us not to and to do has the opposite effect. That how what is it when you fat-free stuff? Yeah, it might be fat-free, but it has something else in it that's detrimental. So we just got to get back to natural. Get natural vegetables. Get natural. I mean, there's something. Get wild caught, maybe a fish, maybe a once or twice a week. You should have some, maybe some salmon or something like that, clean, not farm raised. Some fish, broiled, not fried, in your diet. If you are a pescatarian, if you are a vegetarian, just get good, clean veggies. Learn which ones are good for you, because not all vegetables and one of the things, that the AO scan does is literally also, when I'm scanning you, will give me a whole report on everything that your body is allergic to, that you should have or not have, whether or not that if you're allergic to or not. In other words, a lot of times folks will say, oh, it says I can't have eggplant. I love eggplant. Eggplant is a nightshade. And for some people, a nightshade would have the effect of like nicotine in your body, as if you were a smoker. Y'all didn't know that. But it gives a whole list of foods, grains, nuts, cheeses, meats, and I would say other things, and tells you whether or not it's good for your body, not the body in general, your body. And sometimes some things are better at better times than others. But I mean, nobody gives us that kind of information. We are ingesting things that we think, because we like the taste of it, we don't know that it is affecting us negatively. So yeah, everybody should get an AO scan for their household. You should get it, even if you get it for your family group, for your extended family. Like, we're going to get one of these things, and I'm going to be, not me, you're going to be the point person for the family. So whenever y'all need a scan, I'm gonna be able to do it. And then, of course, you got your side business with it. You can do folks that aren't in your family and whatever. But everybody needs this, because it's going to be harder and harder for us to determine whether or not the level of care we're getting is, in fact, taking us into the path of wellness, or whether or not it's just putting us in a holding pattern for the next level of illness and dis-ease that comes as a result of the stuff that we've been taking for a long time. If y'all know what I mean, I'm trying to be diplomatic and stuff and not say certain things. Let me say. No. Again, confirm my older brother had some advanced experience. Okay. I've been 7 days only water. After the third day, I wasn't hungry. Actually, I had a hard time eating first. Yeah. Let me see. I snack much better these days. Okay. Romans 8:20 is still true. The Most High Allah can still use us to get the job furthered if our family members are still in. alive to bear witness. They will, beloved. Yeah, but we know that they're not lost. I think that's the important point I wanted to make. Our family members that don't come on this path with us when we're on it, they won't be lost. That's the thing. They will not be lost, and I think that's the important thing. Put his feet on the other side. Another thing, y'all, make sure if you're in a place where you can ground yourself, that you are grounding, that you are spending maybe 30 minutes or so with your feet on the ground, because y'all know how they wanted to disconnect us from the earth grid and the power, the energy of Mother Earth. When they put us in, women, they put us in high heels. That they didn't just put rubber soles on stuff and fake soles, or if you will, manufactured material, but they put women in high heels, and they lifted us way up off the ground because they didn't want us to connect. Take your shoes off, find you a patch of grass, and if you got to sit in a chair with your feet on the ground, then do that. While I'm sitting here right now, I'm not in the grass, but I have a grounding pad under my feet here. My office is plugged in, and it's generating the same thing as if I was standing out on the ground, on the earth. Reconnect to nature. Reconnect to nature. They trying to disconnect us. They trying to block out the sun and do all kinds of craziness of stuff we need. They tell you don't need no sun. Yeah, y'all don't need no sun. We need the sun. We are sun-kissed people. We need to kiss the sun back. Let me see. Yeah, so I'm just, take your shoes off. Love you too, Slim. How much is the AO scan? Anybody that listen, I'm gonna put this up here again. Let me find that banner. We'll back up for this for just a minute. Send. Where's my little note here? Right here. If you text scan to this number, I will send you information. Anybody that wants information about it. Matter of fact, I may even do a private for people that might want to come on a private thing where I can actually demonstrate it. I will probably do that. I wouldn't do that on an open thing like this because you can't say certain things. You can't. One of the things we do say about this scanner, and it is a disclaimer, is that it does not treat, cure, or diagnose any diseases or illness, but it does educate you. It will educate you about what's going on in your body so that you can make the right decisions. Right? That's our disclaimer. We can't say that it does anything other than educate you. But I just happen to know what it does. I happen to know. So yeah. So if you're interested in more information about the AO scan, just text to the scan to that my number, and I will get that out to you quick, fast, and in a hurry. I'm running the scan. Like, I'm also reminding folks that come next month, because I've been running everybody's stuff just because I love y'all, that we're moving to our marketplace market share on and you're going to have to put your business on market share for 10 notes a month, which I don't think is bad, on our website. I want to point out this brother here, Master Jeweler Artisan Jedias L. Y'all take note of him. This brother is bad. When I say bad, I mean good bad. He can make and build. He's been at our last two events coming up. He and his consort from North Carolina. And when I tell you his jewelry, the stuff he makes, and you just Empress Wisdom Shield L called me today and asked me, because she got a couple of pieces on and whatever. He literally is a wood. He can carve out of different materials. The thing he's not mass produced, and he's making your stuff by hand. And when I tell you his stuff is the truth, you want to go to his website, please. And next time we have an event, I'm pretty sure he's going to be here too. But he really is, he really is the truth when it comes to what he makes and what they produce. So shout out to him. This is my daughter's information here. She does have a website. She does do free consultations, although she asked that when folks call her, that you call in, like, what is it, Eastern Daylight Time hours. Sometimes people will reach out to her. Once they get her number, they might be reaching out to her 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. She said, "Mom, what's wrong with these people?" I said, they're in different time zones, maybe, but she's very, very, very good. You didn't get to hear her tonight, but if you like to get a complimentary initial reading or consultation, go to this website here, fulllotusbloom.com, and you'll find out. I don't know what happened tonight, but I guess I was supposed to do this. We talked about, not doing it until, she could get her phone together. And like I said, her daughter also is experiencing an illness. So I don't know what happened, but I hope that you all have not been too disappointed at having me rant. Yes, Sister Karen. She said, put the link in the for the hair products, and I will do that. I said I would do that. Yeah. Y'all, any more? Let me edit this. Any more questions? Any questions? Here's my link. Anybody that wants to get my hair product there, let me know. Let me make sure I'm not missing. Okay. Nope. Okay. Family will see our works. How did the Soulful Retreat turn out? I wasn't able to attend this time. It was absolutely, it was amazing. We had a really, really good turnout. We had good information. We ended the second day with the where we had the strategic planning part. And out of that, if you saw last week before last, the 4th, with Grand Sheik and Brother Rasjai Bey, we talked about coalition building, and I've gotten a lot of calls and comments with regard to that. Okay, let me see. I would just purchase one, because even though I don't believe, I think it's safe to trust. So, with the AL scan, you get training. Yeah, you get training with that. Just so it need not be something that I wouldn't want anybody to waste their money, because it really needs to be put to work. Find out what's going on with our family. I remember a brother who I had scanned a couple years ago, and after the scan, his doctor convinced him to get the thingy, and it's about 6-7 months after that, I get a call in the middle of the night, and the brother says he was dying. He had CV pneumonia. Now, he'd already gotten that. Now he had CV pneumonia, and spirits were coming in his room, in the hospital room, in the middle of the night, trying to get him to go with him, trying to get him, saying it's time for him to die. And it was like the 4th of the month, like say it was November. I remember it was the 4th. I didn't get the call because it was in the middle of the night. My phone doesn't ring after 10:30. But when I did get his message, I called him and we talked, and he shared what was going on. So I did a follow-up scan, right then and there. I said, I'm going to scan you and see what's going on. Lo and behold, CV, the CV variant showed up in the scan. This man's in hospital. He didn't have that show up on his scan like 9 or so months before when I did his scan, but it was also 6 months since he had that thing that his doctor had convinced him he had. I sent him frequencies. It was like the 4th of the month. I did the best I could, and I would like to say that those frequencies kept him around vibrationally till the 22nd of the month. But it was, some of that stuff was just too far gone. But it showed up. You know what I mean? It showed up in the scan, and it just, we did what we could, but it gave his family a little bit more time with him. But like I said, some of those things I can't talk about over this, because it just, people don't want you to, not people, but they don't want you to say certain things. So I'm gonna shut up. I have a question. Do you think technology or like owning pets are ways that? Do you think technology or like owning pets, are ways that we are to study what our natural capabilities would be. I have crazy theories about technology. So I'm not sure if I completely understand what you're saying, or owning pets is ways that we are to study what our natural. I don't know that I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, brother Comanche Fly. I don't know, because I think whatever we has been is already out there, and that we're rediscovering. I think we're rediscovering what was already available to us in eons ago, and that we're remembering, because some of us were here back in those times when those things existed, when those technologies and those knowings existed. I really push the fact that I feel like we got to go back to those our ancient mindsets, and reinstitute those abilities that may be laying dormant in us, the ability, the telepathic, to be able to, reach each other mind to mind, to be able to do things that we think only somebody else can do, that we used to do all the time, just as was just second nature to who we are. And we're going to have to get back there, because as things are changing, for whatever reason, they also are shutting down a lot of the things that we've come to rely on, since we no longer use those natural abilities. You know what I mean? So we rely on, we stop remember phone numbers because we have cell phones. But what happens when they take, shut down the phone, the towers, and what happened? I did answer it. Oh, okay, cool. But what I'm saying is, I believe we have to get back to opening ourselves up to what we used to know and who we used to be, and probably meditation and some of those modalities. Like I said, getting back into nature, grounding, making sure what we put in our body is clean and nutritional, and of a, something that adds value, that we, get things like excessive sugar, which they, that's the, we think it's cocaine, but it's sugar. That's more deadly. It's just as bad. So getting, reducing our sugar intake, even reducing our salt intake, because a lot of folks, we deal with, excess fluid and inflammation in the body and so forth. It's all about getting your mind set on your well-being, that that nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's coming to save you. You must save yourself. And if that means changing your mindset, your way of thinking, your way of living, your way of dealing with other people, other folks, then that's what you're going to have to do. But the first one and the foremost one that you have to get right with, I believe, is yourself. We have to get right with ourselves. We need to be right. When you're right with you, everybody else, everything else falls in place. Let me see. I'm trying to. I have gone so slowly. I don't even know if I put everybody's got everybody's banner up. Okay. Here's another thing. I want to. Sometimes I know I'm calling out some folks of what they do, but this brother here. Some of you attend Brother Yakuba J. Romel's free civics classes. I get a lot of questions, and I'll try to refer you all to his classes, because he's strictly civics and law, and that's most of your questions are civics and law related. I highly recommend that you take his information down, and that you, even though it's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you won't be able to be on my live, I don't care. You can look at the replay. You can look at the replay. He also replays his classes too, for those who are in the class. But I'm saying, if you need to be on a live class on a Tuesday to get the knowledge that you need to move forward in spite of what's going on, then please, I'm gonna have to get him back on here, because this brother, again, And the classes are free. So many people are, have all of these fees for stuff, but you need to take advantage of this. Okay. Let me just look. Um, let me see. I'm almost finished. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right. I know I'm ranting, but I don't talk to many people into this kind of information. Where that I don't really worry much. Oh, nah, you good. Okay. What's this? Osiris Asar is the lightning bolt. So electricity actually is ruled by the same quote unquote God that gave us our spark. So maybe there's some connection there with our relationship with AI, Islam. Well, let me tell you what I think before I go. Um, just like, they say that over time, our DNA has been tweaked over the, millennia to get us to where we are now. Um, I know a lot of people fear AI, and I can see where it might be an issue with those because I don't work anymore. I'm retired, but thinking that AI is going to like put them out of a job or something like that. But I see it almost like the AI is like an upgrade even on what we call ourselves. It's that they're upgrading, that we've been upgraded over the millennia. We just now are aware of it. We're aware that they're upgrading stuff, but maybe we didn't know what was happening. And the knowledge that we have now, we are conscious, is what I'm going to say, of what's going on. That where in the past we were asleep, at least over the last 2,000 years in the age of Pisces, where we were living in a delusions and illusions and lies and misinformation and disinformation. So yeah, we didn't even know what was going on. We didn't know what was going on back then. Um, oh, is this a book you're putting up here? The Lost Century, The Forgotten Century, and How to Reclaim It. I'm assuming that is a recommended book. Oh, a film. Oh, okay, it's a film. A documentary. Okay, there's a documentary. I'm assuming. I don't know. Is this on YouTube, or is it just something that you need to um, Google? The Lost Century, The Forgotten Century, and How to Reclaim It. It's a film. Okay, but yeah. I mean, if you think about AI in the terms of what I'm seeing it right now, um, I just saw a thing where you can, say you wanted to write a book. There's a company now that you can write a book within hours using AI. I have a bunch of books in me, and if I could use AI to take my thoughts and put it in book form, and it legitimately expresses my sentiments, then hey, why should I take 6 months to a year to, some books, my books I've been holding on to them for like years. You mean to tell me now AI will help me write my book in a matter of a couple of hours? I think I like that. I don't know about you. AI could be an extension from helpful sources that were already here attempting to power up the planet. Correct. That's what I was saying. Upgrade us, power up. You're right. Right. So before we jump in and become fearful, check it out. See how it can benefit what it is you're already doing. Like I said, help me write my book. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you. Help me do a video in like 5 seconds by popping in a couple of pictures and da, da, da. I don't have a problem with that, you know, personally. But I don't have anything to lose. So maybe that's that. Listen, y'all. It has been real. It has been really a blast to talk to you. I wasn't planning on this. I wasn't. Um, Technology caused me to do what I said I didn't want to do, which was be a talking head. But I don't really feel like I'm the talking head so much tonight because I'm talking to you, right? I feel like I'm talking directly to you. I'm like in your, we having a chat. We're this is a fireside chat with each other. So, I don't feel so much like a talking head. I mean, we're dialoguing back and forth. You writing it, putting it up and trying to respond to things. So yeah, we are having a chat. And even though none of y'all wanted to come on with me, thank you for conversating with me in your comments and in your courtesy, because you didn't have to. You didn't have to. You could have clicked off, and I know some left already, but you could have clicked off and said, "Listen, I'm not gonna listen to her. She's not talking about nothing." But I talked about a lot of stuff, y'all. Y'all know it, right? Okay. Thank you, Comanche Fly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Well, Roxy, sorry you were late, but just listen to the replay. You'll see what happened. We started out with a guest, lost her, and I kept on going because I didn't want to say, because I could have, chickened out and said, look, y'all, we'll reschedule. See y'all later. But we didn't do that. We just, I tried to keep it going. And hopefully you are all right with what I shared and what I shared. I mean, I'm full of knowledge of different things. It's just that it's hard when a lot, have an interest in a lot of things. You can't stay. I tried to stay in the same vein, so to speak, but it's just so many things that I'm interested in. Well, Comanche Fly, the next time we have an event, come on to House of Reawakening Minds and meet me in person. Meet Dr. G. Meet me in Grand Chic. We love to meet each and every one of you. Especially again, thank you to those who came from far and near for our Soulful Summer retreat. It was a blast. It was a blast, right? But thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for just listening to little old me. So I'll get her back. I think she's gonna need to do it on her computer though, y'all. But I'll get her back. I even wanted her to sing that song, but it is what it is. Stuff happens. And I guess the universe is so funny. What I said I did not want to do was to get on here and just talk to anybody. I'm y'all don't know, I am very, very, I'm an introvert when it comes to that. Like Dr. G, you can be an introvert as much as you talk. Yeah, I am. I really am. But it's like one of those, like I was when I was a preacher. I'll be scared as to get up and preach. But when I stand up to the pulpit and get the microphone in my hand, it was like Superman going into the phone, Clark Kent going into the phone booth, and blah, 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 then Superman comes out, and that's how that's how it is. Once you get started talking. So I appreciated this, and thank you, Akachi 1972. Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you, Kaba. I'm trying to say it right. Kabaku. Kabaku. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sister Ferial L. Thank you, John Harris. Thank you, S. Smith. Thank you, Sister Rose Reed. Thank you, Neo Venus. Thank you, Comanche Fly. Thank you, JJ Problems. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Raisin L's. Thank you, So Jail Bales. I'm trying to say thank you to everybody tonight as I go out. Let me say, make sure. If I didn't say thank you, I thank you. All right, I'm going. I'm gonna let y'all go. If you have not already done so, please make sure you become a member of our website. Yeah, please that, and appreciate you doing that. And lastly, but not leastly, please make sure, if you are able to do so, that you support the work that we do at the House of Real Awakening Minds, we are expanding. We're working on a place that when you come here, there'll be at least for a place to stay that we have available. So we're working on that, and that takes funds. So if you can support us, here's our Cash App and our PayPal. But it's not about that. It's about us lifting, uplifting fallen humanity through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's what we're all about. That's why we're here, and we do it because we love you, not because we have to, but we want to do what we do because we know that there are some of you out here that really want this knowledge. I'm gonna say this as I close. I had a very interesting conversation today. I got a call from at the tip. I guess it's from South America. South America. I was on the call for quite some time, and sometimes we don't know how good we have it, even though we struggle. And the sister that I talked to from this country, and I won't name it, in South America, and I will say it's a country that is French colonized, right? And she shared with me that she had declared, filled out her paperwork, and I think she had gotten her paperwork off of the website RV Bay, and this has nothing to do with RV Bay, but that's just where she had gotten her information. And she did everything that she was instructed to do, and sent her information in, declaring who she was and in where she is in that country. And the way they responded to her, they ended up coming to her home. They pulled her. They took her out of her house in nothing but shoes and what she was wearing on, and put her out of her home. They cut off. She was on disability from a back injury, and she was getting, a regular disability. They took her disability, shut her bank account off. She had done paperwork for her nephew, and they sent policy enforcers, whatever they're called over there, to the house. They pulled her nephew out and beat him with baseball bats. They look like us, but they worked for them. And since 2019, her mother and her sister, she said they had killed them both. And she's still fighting the fight for that justice and for that truth, so that she can help the rest of the people over there. And I'm saying that to say, sometimes we think we got it bad, y'all. This sister's still homeless and strong, a warrior, in a country that is hostile. And we think, we can't do some of the little things, and people are actually, risking and putting their lives on the line for the same thing that some of us take for granted. So, just the Most High and the universe knows who the sister is. So when you are giving thanks, give thanks that for all her efforts and all their family's hard work and so forth, that she will see victory in this situation. And she, not only that, she's been trying to send her paperwork, and every time she tries to send emails or whatever, they confiscate her stuff. When it comes to emails, she gets the 404 message. She sends it. Stuff ends up in drafts. She mails out stuff. It comes back or not at all, and they say no such address. So just remember, when you think that things are rough, somebody else has it rougher. Somebody else has it rougher. You know what I mean? Cash App. Somebody wanted to know what's my Cash App. Well, our Cash App is, I'll put it in the chat. Cash.me. Yeah, this was deep. I was on the phone with the sister for I want to say over an hour, and then they kept cutting the call off, and then she called me. I'm talking. I don't even want to say the country, but it was deep in South America, right? And they're French. Comanche. You must be psychic, but I didn't say that. Yeah, it's somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. So keep my sister, that sister, in your thoughts and your prayers if you pray, because she's still homeless. She's still fighting, as the church folks say, the good fight. But they're not backing down, and I'm hoping that who I connected her with today, that she will be able to see some kind of. I mean, these folks they're treacherous. I mean, I would assume the closer we get to victory, the more they step up what they're doing. But thank you, thank you. Lift the sister up. I'm not even going to put her name out there, but the Most High knows who she is, and I give thanks. I get those kinds of call. I've never gotten a call like that deep, but I get calls from people, being put out of their homes and so forth. But she said, this woman with a broken back was put out in the street with shoes, and the clothes on her back, they took everything from her, including her finances, shut off her just because she was declaring her independence. So y'all, we gonna cut it off here, and I appreciate each and every one of you, and yeah, until next time, until Friday, I will be back with Bread Chic Taj Tariq Day on Friday, and we'll do this thing again. All right, so we gonna leave, and let me see what I'm gonna put up here. I'm gonna put the medical disclaimer up here, because we talked about some stuff, and make sure that y'all. So thank you as we leave.